Hello, dear friends and fans. I hope you guys are fine and doing great. Welcome to another class of acrylic painting. Today, I'm going to tell you about the acrylic painting techniques. So, these are all the techniques of acrylic painting which I'm going to tell you in today's class. So, just see them one by one. First of all, we have dry brush, right? Then we have detailing, cotton swab, color scrap, sgrifto. We have wet on wet, glazing, impasto, scumbling, sponging, stippling, splattering, masking, stenciling, dabbing, and washing. So now I will just paint here one by one, and I will just show you guys that how can we paint with these all techniques. So first of all, we have dry brush. It's very simple. In dry brush painting technique, we'll use this dry brush and we'll just take some paint on our palette, and we'll just load our brush with the paint and we'll apply it over the canvas. So this is how I've loaded the brush, and this is how we're just gonna apply it over the canvas. So you can see the textures dry brush is creating. So this type of technique is known as the dry brush technique, and we can use it in many paintings for different textures and stuff like that. So moving towards the next technique, which is detailing. So for detailing technique, we have to use a zero size brush. We'll just load it with paint and we'll just do the detailing. We can do detailing of anything, like the tree branches is the perfect example of detailing. And it's like a network, a whole network of branches, and you can see a web, right? A spider web is also example of the detailing kind of work. And also we can make beautiful mandala art and stuff like that. So these are all the detailed kind of work which we can do with this brush, and this is the whole technique which we can use in the paintings, and we can have so many beautiful painting with this technique as well. So yeah, like this you can have many beautiful patterns and detailed detailed designs and stuff like that. So yeah, we are almost done with this, and the next technique is cotton swab. So for that we'll just use these cotton buds, and what we're gonna do is we'll just dip the cotton bud in the paint, and we can just have these kind of beautiful dots and dotted pattern, and and we can have different texture with the multiple cotton buds as well, and we can use this technique in the cherry blossom trees and stuff like that, like this. So yeah, next we have is the color scrap, and for that I'm going to take few colors here, as it's clear with the name that we are going to scrap these colors. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just take a business card like this one here, and I'll just scrap these colors like this. This is called color scrapping. We can use this technique in different paintings, and for making different textures and things like that. So yeah, move towards the next, which is sgrifto. For that I'm going to load my brush with any paint, and I will just apply it over the surface, and I will just use a thick and wet amount of paint, and we'll just do several coatings, and we'll apply it like this. And now what we have to do is we have to take any sharp object, like I'm using this empty pen, this one. So we'll just make textures over it like this. This technique is also called combing, and we can just have a lot of textures and a lot of designs with these techniques. So this is how you can have different textures in your paintings, and you can use this technique like this. So yeah, this was about the skrifto. Now moving toward the next technique, which is wet on wet. So for that I'm just using this wet brush, and I'll just drop the paint over it like this, and you can say this is a kind of watercolor kind of effect which we can have with acrylic paintings. And what we have done is that we have just used a wet paint with water on a wet surface. That's why it is known as wet on wet. Like the first layer was of water and the second one was paint and water. This is how the paint travels in the water, and we can have this wet on wet technique. So we can play with it, and we can have a lot of textures and designs with it as well, like this. So now our next technique is glazing. Basically glazing is applying one layer over the other. Like for example, let's take this purple color and also this pink one. So I'll just simply apply purple color layer over the pink color like this. So first let's apply the pink layer like this, and now just we'll apply the purple layer like this. So this is called glazing, applying of one color over the other color. We can have this with different colors as well. Okay, what is next? It's impasto. So impasto is basically acrylic painting technique in which we use the palette knives, and we can have different textures with it, and we can just paint it like this, and we can have different textures and strokes and things like that. So this one is known as impasto. So next one is scumbling. This one is also very easy. In this technique, we'll just scumble our brush over the canvas surface like this, and we're done with it. I just used my brush in a round circular motion, and that's it. So our next technique is sponging, and for that I'm taking this blue color on my palette, and I will just take a sponge, any sponge you can use for this purpose, and I will just dab it in the paint, and I will just dab it over my surface, and I can make things like clouds and stuff like that. And this technique is also used for covering the canvas surface as well quickly. And I'm gonna take this white as well, and I'm just giving it a look of clouds like this. So this technique is called sponging, and we can use it in different styles as we want. So our next technique is stippling. So what is stippling? For example, you have this drawing on your canvas, and you have to use the stippling technique. So how will we use it? We'll just take a brush and we'll just stipple with it on the canvas like this, in the dotted form and like this. So you guys can even make a whole painting with this technique, and it will look awesome. And I think it's pretty easy for the beginners as well, so you can start paintings like this way as well. Well, our next technique is splattering, but I'm gonna miss it right now. I'll do it at the end, but first we'll do masking. So just take a masking tape and just cover some area of the canvas, whereas we'll paint on the rest of the surface. As you guys can see, like this. So this is how I have masked the few area of the canvas, while I'll paint on the rest of the surface like this. You guys can have different designs and different patterns with this technique as well. See, this is how we have covered the whole surface with the paint. So now we'll just remove the tapes and we'll see the results. So this is called masking technique. And we can correct the mistakes if there are any, and we can, give them a retouch up. And can easily, fix them with a white paint. So yeah, this was the masking. So our next technique is stenciling, and for that I already have a paper cut out, and I'm gonna place it here, and I will just, stamp over it with this golden paint. I'll just take a sponge and I will just dab over it like this, so that we can have a beautiful texture as well. This technique is called stenciling as well as, stamping, because you will see this shape will, it will look like a stamp. So this is how we can have beautiful stencils. So our next technique is dabbing. For that I will take a dry brush and I will just, load some paint, and I will just simply dab it over the surface of my canvas like this. And we can make, trees and bushes and grass and stuff like that with this acrylic painting technique. So that's it. So our next acrylic painting technique is washing, and for this technique I'm going to take my dry brush and I will load it with 30% of water and 70% of the paint, and this is how I can have a beautiful texture, and I can have different washes and stuff like that. I can make beautiful backgrounds and things with it. So our next technique is splattering. So for this technique I'm just gonna cover these side areas with with a sheet, so that I can't have any mess, because this technique is little messy but beautiful, so beautiful. With this technique we can make beautiful starry nights and water splashes and stuff like that. So for this we'll just load our brush with 70% of the paint and 30% of water, and we'll take another brush as well and we'll just tap one brush over the other, and we can have these kind of beautiful splatters and splashes like this. Let's try it with another color, and let's check out the results. And we can also use it with finger as well. We can just move our finger like this on the bristles in order to have splatters according to our demand and requirement. So this is how we can have different splashes and splatters and things like that. Let me just now remove these sheets so that we can see it properly. And yeah, here we go. We have these beautiful splatters right here. So yeah guys, this was all about today's class. I hope you guys enjoyed the lecture and I have learned something. I hope you to see in the next tutorial, and don't miss our next class in which I'm going to tell you about the various techniques of blending. So stay tuned. See you in the next class. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.